Hey guys, what's going on? Rick here, LaLa Farm, and today is processing day for our Cornish crosses. We have 6 that we're doing this morning. We got Chelsea and Patrick and Rick Isaac over there catching chickens, and Madeline's helping Chelsea with the chicken plucker. And then, like I said, LaLa and Papa out here. Papa's doing the processing, LaLa's doing the scalding. So before we get started, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, ring that little notification bell for future content. So let's jump right in. So this is the first station. This right here is a dispatch cone. You know, there's other names for it, but dispatch cone. You go ahead and you take your chicken. We'll show you that here in a second. I'm just going to run you through the steps real quick to kind of show you the direction the chicken goes from being on the ground to starting the harvesting or starting the processing. The steps. We'll run the chicken through the dispatch cone. We'll go ahead and we'll pull their head through here. We'll take a very sharp and thick knife that's real firm, and we'll go ahead and we'll slice right as the neck comes out of here. You'll go ahead and you'll pull it down. Now we have really fat chickens, and so we're not able to get their heads really far down, so you got to actually tug a little bit. But once you tug through here, you go ahead and you slice. We don't like to have the chicken head still on when we put it into the water. We prefer to have the chicken head all the way off. So once we get done with this, then we'll move over to the scalding water. This is the station that LaLa's been at. It's really just a turkey fryer. But we have our propane tank
from our camper.
From the camper. But the propane tank hooked up to the turkey fryer. The thermometer will read 145. That's the correct temperature. We'll go ahead and we'll put the chickens in there to scald, not scold, scald the chickens. And to make them easier for them to go ahead and get pulled out in the chicken plucker that we'll show you here in a minute. The way to test it is really go ahead and once you've had them in there for about 15 or 20 seconds, you go ahead and you pull them out. Test a couple of the tail feathers. Those are the ones that are the most easiest accessed. And if they come out easily, then they should come out easy in the chicken plucker itself, which is over here. This is the whiz bang. Like I said, we made a video. Check out the card above. And it has fingers in it. It has, we have a bucket down here right now. Honestly, it's not working all that great, so we got to figure out something for that. But feathers are on the ground right now. We'll make sure that there's constant water. When the actual whiz bang is on, we turn the whiz bang on. The fingers start rotating inside. Can you show them that real quick?
Yeah.
Just like that. All right, turn it off. Once the whiz bang is turned on, that's when you drop your chickens in. 15-20 seconds of the whiz bang, and for the most part they come out and they're featherless. You might have to pluck a few, but it does a phenomenal job at plucking the feathers. Once they get done with this, we bring them out and we bring them over to the processing table, which is where the cameraman, he's been at. And he's doing a phenomenal job. We go ahead and we back up, buddy. You got sharp knives. So once we get them on this table, you'll see it here in a minute. You got to get the crawl out of the neck area, and then slit the rear of the chicken, and that's where you'll go ahead and you'll get all the innards. Once they get done with this, we put them into a cold bath, or ice bath. As you can see, we have 4 chickens in there right now. We're going to show you the actual processing portion of the last 2 that we have. So you got the 4 in here that we've already done. Now once we get done and we're caught up and we've got all of our chickens processed and they're in their ice bath, at that point then we start to shrink wrap the chickens in a bag. Once they have been shrunk wrapped in the bag, then we put them into these 2 coolers right here, which just have bags of ice inside. And this is where they'll sit. So once we put them in these coolers right here, the point of that is to go ahead and it'll get rid of the rigor mortis. They'll be in here for 24 hours. It'll also cool the chickens to the point where we can then put them into our stand-up freezer up at the house. That way it doesn't defrost the rest of your meat in your freezer. They go in there and they can freeze a lot faster. I've seen some videos where they go ahead and mention the fact that they made the mistake of putting them directly out of here once they've shrink wrapped the chickens. Whew, and they'll throw them in their freezer, and you know, they go back and they have meats all around the chickens that they had just put in there for freezing. Those are all de-thawed, so or defrosted, de-thawed, thawed. They're thawed. So we don't want that. So what are you doing, Rick Isaac?
I'm catching the chickens and passing them out, and then I'm handing them to the cameraman.
The cameraman, who is Daddy, yes. So he can then dispatch them.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and catch go ahead and catch chicken on camera. There you go.
So you hold
Pick them up.
By the legs, and then just hold it, and then before 15 seconds they'll pass out.
Yep. All right, so we have our chicken, and Rick Isaac has passed them over the fence. Excuse all the feathers. Like I had said, you go ahead and you want the chest facing outward. That way, when you do dispatch the chicken, you are facing underneath their throat. So go ahead and you stick them in there. Like I said, we do have very large chickens, so them being upside down tends to calm them. And so we'll go ahead and we'll pull the chicken out through the bottom. And that's it. So we'll see you when this is done. So now that we've dispatched our chicken, we're gonna go ahead and take her over to the scalder with LaLa, so she can go ahead and start that process.
You just got to be careful you don't push down too far, because you get your fingers in there and you'll burn your fingers. They're still a little tight in there, so I'm going to keep doing it for just a little bit longer. You want your water to stay right as close to 145 as you can, because if you do it for too long and the water's too hot, the skin will come off. See, these come out fairly easy. So now she's ready to go in.
Okay, you have to put the chicken in while this is running, and Mama has to keep on running the water while the chicken is in there.
Okay.
Start.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so sometimes they have feathers sticking out somewhere, but this one looks good, so let's go to the processing table. Alright.
Alright. So when we're processing this, pretty straightforward process. You know, some people will save the hearts, some people will save the livers. We're only saving the feet. Chelsea's gonna make some broth with those. So it's right at this joint at the back. There's a cut there, and we come to the other side, slit it, and it should come off relatively easily. Same thing on the other side, slit there, slit on the other side. Then we come up here and we try to locate the crawl. The crawl is where they have their food, where it's initially processed. It says little lump on the right hand side of the neck, so it's right there. So we don't want to cut that, so we're going to make a cut into that. Pull it open, kind of cut behind it, and pull all that out.
ate all their.
That's the craw right there. So, and LaLa took their food away when? This morning or last night? The last time they got fed was last night, so in none of these, there's not a whole lot in the craw. So now we've processed the legs. Now we're gonna move to the back. We're just gonna make a little slice right here. 2 to 3 fingers, whatever you can get in there. Spread it open. Reach in. We're just gonna start pulling it out. Let's be gentle here because you don't wanna break open the gallbladder and things like that. So it should come right out. So once the organs are out, and you lift up the tail, you'll see this right here is the vent for the chicken. So we're going to cut right around that vent. The vent is where the eggs come out. The vent is also where the feces, or where they poop at. So that'll come right out. And that's one processed chicken right there. All right, so now we're packaging the chickens that we harvested today. So we're just using these shrink wrap bags. These are 10 by 16 for chickens and rabbits. These are the extra large size. But these are some really big birds, so we're really having to kind of squeeze them into these bags. So these are shrink wrap. They basically just go into hot water, and that's how they get shrunk. So let's demonstrate that for you. So they go in, neck down. Once we get them down, LaLa's going to put the straw right down into the body cavity. I want to cinch that up.
Spin it
Spin it.
a bunch of times.
Madeline's going to take and put a zip tie on the bottom of it. And she's going to tighten this right up to this straw, because when it goes into the hot water,
Pull it real tight.
then we're going to pull. The air is actually coming out of this straw from inside of the bag
There we go.
as it's shrinking. So then we'll take it over to the water. You can actually hear the air coming out of this straw as the bag draws up around the chicken.
As soon as he pulls it up, move it over. He pulls the straw and I cinch.
Ready?
Yep. To keep any air from going back into the bag.
And one sealed chicken.
Then we just drop that into an ice bath. And it'll sit in there for 24 hours so it can go through rigor mortis. And then be cold enough to put into the freezer when we're ready to freeze.
Alright guys, so that's it. As Dad said earlier, that's a wrap. So we got our 6 chickens, our 6 Cornish crosses processed.
Or would it be a shrink wrap?
No. Anyway guys, we got our 6 Cornish crosses processed. They're in the on ice right now. They'll remain there until tomorrow night, and then we'll put them in the freezer and eat them at some point this year. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this informative. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. Ring that little notification bell to get notifications on future content. Remember the golden rule, always treat others as you would like to be treated. Thank you again for visiting the farm. Be well.